Hey guys, how's it going? I tried to do a 15-minute video earlier about general stuff, and then I thought, this is the big question on a lot of people's mind is how do you control a yard that has this many cars in it? And it looks pretty big, but I guess this is general or normal in some places, other places not. The departure yard, we got some openings here. Generally, what I do is the south departure yard I use for anything going westbound or northbound. Northbound on the Mojave sub, westbound on the Cajon sub. The south departure yard would go north or west. The reason being is the north departure yard is for anything going eastbound on the Needle sub. Now, unfortunately, well, there's a couple things. At least one of them is going to get tied up in a minute because track one I just authorized Tom, who's on right now. He's going to build Barback and a few others. He's going to. I think he's going to build West Colton, but he's going to build a Barback. Anyways, I'll talk to him in a minute. But I wanted to show you this as far as how you do this juggling act here. What happens sometimes if you look at the matrix here, for example, you can see that there's statuses that are starting to show up here. And what happens is this goes from the beginning of the cycle to the end. So all these are your departing trains at the top. So you see all those right there. Those are the tags that you'll see. A couple of trains like Bell and Stowe have two trains that go to them. So M bar Bell 1 shows up in the formula there. If you want to see the whole symbol, the formulas are in the status. M Barstow 3 is here if you want to see the full symbol and status. But there's also, if you look over here, there's another Bell and Stowe. So we got two out, but there's going to be others. So you got to keep that in mind. So North 3 is already being lined up for the next one, so I think that's already should be moved over there. Anyways, haven't updated that yet. I haven't been on for a while. I've been busy with A-line and everything. But you can see there's a lot of trains because a lot of the mainline trains are moving like crazy, but Barstow is backed up big time. That has a lot to do with me. That has also a lot to do with some of the key players who used to be in Barstow for us are not here as often. We got some key ones in right now, though, so we're going to clean up this place, and I thought this was a good time to show you some of the stuff that goes on in this. But as you can see, when you look at this side, humped. Victorville hasn't run. San Bernardino hasn't brought any empties back. We don't need that. Humped. There's one in the arrival yard that hasn't been humped, and then there's some that haven't been humped, and basically all the inbounds are almost done, but we got a whole crap load of outbounds. Why that one got done? We're speculating that it didn't get run the last cycle. There was some confusion. I think there was a push to get certain trains out, but there's other trains like Kansas City who still has a build order, and I'm going to take care of that as well. If you don't have enough cars to be sent, there's ways to fill up a train to make it a little bit bigger, and I'll show you a little bit more about that. I'm going to create this as a multi-part Barstow tonight. And my cough, you're going to hear me cough every now and then. I'm getting over a cold. That's another reason why I haven't been doing as much as I wish. I'm working on A-line, RTS, blah, blah, blah. Tom is running a server for us for RTS for Florida, and I've been doing a lot of research and stuff like that for that. So anyways, I'll pause this for now, and I'll show you what's going to go on first. What I'm going to do is... I forget what I said I was going to do. I just told him I was going to do something. Now I can't remember what I was telling him I was going to do. Oh, yeah. Because we already sent out to Barwat, this is overfilling again, but it's not technically going to be needed until next cycle, but we got lots of cars here. But because we already ran a train out, there's a decision now whether or not we'll have enough for a second section, which is possible, or if we just want to hold on to them. If there's no room, and Watt goes west, so that's normally in the south yard. You don't want to tie up the, Watt's normally goes into the south yard. So there is room there, but the thing is you don't want to tie up spots for especially a train that you've already sent out, or a train that may not need to go out again. So, pardon me. The other thing, if you can look here, and there might be a lot of confusing stuff, so if you have questions, comments, just post them to me about anything you don't understand. Let me go through some of the color codes. Kansas City, Galveston, Belmont, Texas, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Lovelock, Texas, Temple, Arizona, I think it is. Those orange ones all head down the Needle sub, and they leave via the North Yard. So you see North 2, North 1, North 3. They always have to leave on the North Yard. They can't go on the South Yard, and that's the reason why is they can technically, but they'd have to do a crossover. So you don't want that. The purple ones, as in the LA Lakers, that's what I use purple for. I don't know why, it's just easier to remember. Purple always goes to the Cajon sub, and the blues, as in north, head north onto the Mojave sub. The cyans, Victorville is a pickup. It has nothing to do, more on that. I won't worry about borons. That's done in the local yard. It's already been run. Cadiz, we haven't set that up just yet for this cycle. Sorry. But anyways, a lot of this gets automated. Some of it doesn't. Some of it needs manual changes, like car counts and stuff like that. But anyways, I'll get into that a little bit later. For now, I'm going to move all those Watt cars that are sitting in the bowl, 44 of them I think, and I'm going to move them over into the old yard, which means they'll come down here. I'll put which track they're in, and we'll update the matrix after that. So let's start running. So anyways, I'm on the way here. Just trying to keep the train under 10 miles an hour. Anyways, yeah, sometimes we cheat in the virtual world. I don't mean to. I try to keep it as close. But anyways, I'm heading over to the old yard. Sometimes it's a little tough to see at night, so I use the bright lights. You know, use whatever you have to see safely, etc., etc. Now, I try to kill two birds with one stone. Try to get a plan in mind. If I was to just send cars into the old yard, a lot of times I'll just shove a bunch of cars. You can shove cars. There's a grade that goes down, and ride the coupler and use the brakes. We've been doing that lately. You got to be very careful. It can actually crash different things, including the server. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but we've done some experimenting with it. You got to be really careful about sending a bunch of cars down a grade. But I would rather take advantage of the old yard that I'm headed to right now. So I've got cars with me that's going to Watson, and yes, I could put it in there is an open track right now, but I expect it to be filled well before this train has to leave, because we already sent to Watson this cycle, and we sent it early. I assume there's going to be an early one sent next cycle, or we're going to have a second section. But in the meantime, I'm not prepared to send it now. We only got 40 some odd cars, and that's usually what the bowl will hold. So instead of worrying about that, what I'm doing is I'm going to head into the old yard right now. Get myself stopped here in plenty of time while I'm talking and not paying attention. So I'm just flicking some switch stopping and flicking some switches. And of course that's noisy as hell. But anyways, so what I'm going to do is, yeah, I'm just trying to get the message. Anyways, I'll get that in a minute. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the way it's set up. I know there's some XXX cars, and you're thinking, what the heck is triple X cars? Like something dirty? XXX is a tag that I use on RTS to signify empty cars that could fill out a train and be sent anywhere. Because we have a bunch of empties, we don't classify empties, or, you know, basically if they just build up and we don't need them, we more or less put them on the ends of trains that, for example, Kansas City can use hoppers, so we send hoppers or whatever to Kansas City, or we just send everything. It just gets moved down the road, fills out an HPT requirements for a train, makes it more efficient, and this is all about efficiency. You want to keep things efficient. So instead of me having to go all the way to Old Yard just to bring these cars back and come back light, I'm going into the Old Yard. I can do any track. I'm going to drop off the Watsons. I'm going to make sure I have the correct count on the correct count for the cars. So if I go Shift Z, I can see that I have 44 cars, which I believe matches up with the matrix. I'm going to make sure that that 44 cars is either posted. If I don't have administration access, I'm going to make sure it's posted, or I'm going to update the matrix myself and say what track in the Old Yard it's going into. I'll probably update the matrix myself. I have an administrator on with me right now who's also working in the yard. If you're not an administrator, you should post it into the proper forum. I gotta check out this yard here, but I know there are some XXX cars in here. They're going to be tacked on to the end of the Kansas City train, which is long overdue. We just don't have enough cars for Kansas City because we didn't have any cars that came from Victorville, which usually sends a lot. So that's why. Get it out of here. That's kill two birds with one stone. So I'll be back in a minute. I'll pause this for now. So anyways, one other thing here, what I'm doing is something normally one of the admins or yard master will take care of. I'm changing those XXX markers I was telling you about. We have right now a surplus of cars going to boron that the system automatically generates, so I'm using copy and paste to take some of these boron cars that we have in surplus that we don't need, hoppers, and we are assigning them XXX. Now this is something that you won't have to worry about. This is something that myself or admins would make a decision on, but I thought I'd show you that just so you can see. Okay, I'm just going to let the rest of this video finish off while I'm backing in the rest of the train. I've already pulled out of the bowl, and I got Tom helping me out on the front end. That's the cool thing when you get multiplayer going on. Tom, 32.99 is the tons that he's listed there. He's already done the calculation. Kansas City needs 2 units. There's cars in the departure yard right now, and we're just getting all set to come on back. So, anyways, just looking here. So we're heading on back, and we'll get through here. So, just looking at the text here. Now we don't use TeamSpeak on our server, and I can see at times these it's much more convenient to have, especially while I'm doing a tutorial. But I still prefer to use the videos as the tutorials and use the text as we need to. So there's lots going on the server, and the way I see it is it's much easier for me to let the text go, stop for a few minutes, because I'm speaking right now, I can't see everything. But basically I got like a minute left and I don't fade them up. Tom's at the bottom there, you can see him up ahead. So I'm coming on down, and I'll pause this for a minute so I can get my bearings on what I'm doing. But basically what I'm doing is backing in what I brought out from the bowl, what I brought out from the old yard, and here's Tom coming up to me right now. So yeah, Tom was just checking to see what I was doing. I wasn't too sure if Tom was talking to me or not. The last conversation that he got to me was a 32.99 bit. He's going to make sure that got this switch for you, Sean. Okay. There's 2 conversations going on. We have channels. You can use the channels. Usually we're not that busy. So if it gets too busy, there's no reason why you can't go onto another channel. Why did he throw me down here? Hold on.